Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 7th of August, comes to you from London. And the really big thing was the dollar had a really strong rise on those job numbers on Friday, so it really just rocketed there. And that's given us a new upside thrust target of about 2.6%. So interestingly, we're right on this dollar support level on the point and figure chart. Is this the beginning of maybe a turnaround? But we're now short-term bullish on the dollar because we're well and truly above the cloud. Of course, the big thing is, can we go higher still? So can we go higher than this 93.75? That would activate this upside target with the move higher. Of course, that means we saw the euro fall away against the dollar, so we're bearish below the cloud on the euro. We've got a new downside target of 2.4% that is activated if we see new lows. So bullish in the medium and long term, but just turning short term bearish. Japanese yen, the dollar strong here as well, bullish against the yen in the short term, but no clear upside targets. And against sterling, we see again sterling falling away against the dollar, so we're back to the sort of 130 level. Against the euro, sterling is really testing these lows. We've had all these downside targets to about 110. We're at 110.50 at the moment, so we've kind of got there. We've got a new downside target of 109.74, and of course this 98.51 target hangs over us. Sterling about to test this low that we saw last year against the euro, and that does suggest that we could go lower still. Looking at the Swiss franc, we see we're bearish here as well on sterling below the cloud, and against the Australian dollar, again bearish below the cloud, having hit resistance. These downside targets of 151, that's 8% downside. That's implying Australian dollar strength. Looking at the S&P 500 index, it's fairly flat on Friday in the end. The Nasdaq also fairly flat, but where the real action was in the Dow. Dow just marching up the hill here, bullish in all three time frames, closing above this 22,000 level, so really looking very, very strong. Russell 2000 index also has been looking good in the medium and long term, but short term it has sold off. So just does give us some concerns on the breadth of market. That's 2,000 stocks in the US. So the smaller caps not quite keeping up with the big caps. Looking at the S&P future, it's up 0.2% this morning, and the Nasdaq E-mini up 0.3%. So does look still fairly strong. The FTSE 100 index is up this morning, bullish above the cloud, looking better than it has been. And if we look at the short-term charts here, we see we do have upside targets of 2%, 1.5%, 2%, a few upside targets suggesting that FTSE will go higher. That weaker sterling against the dollar just helping a bit there as well. And the FTSE 250 now looking quite good as well, having broken to a new high there. So not a new high yet on the daily or the weekly chart, but on the 60-minute chart, we are breaking higher. A shortage of long-term targets just does make it harder to call the mid-caps. DAX index just starting to look a bit better as well. That weaker euro just helping there. And the Nikkei 225, we're seeing here also that this is looking a little bit better on that weaker yen, stronger dollar. Lots of upside targets here. 2%, 3.5%, 6%, 7%. So looking better. The Hang Seng looking strong still, and the Shanghai index also just looking better. The Sensex is looking better as well, still looking pretty strong. The Australian index looking better above the cloud. A very mixed picture on the Aussie market though, just really in this sideways range for weeks on end. Brent crude is down. It's not quite in the bearish trend on the Ichimoku chart, but it is down. We are just holding the medium-term position. We've got some new upside targets here as well, and WTI also just looking a little bit under pressure, although we're not yet in a proper bear phase. This high here at about 51.50, which we saw back in May, is the key for WTI. US nat gas sitting at 280, copper just sitting flat at the moment. Looking at gold, gold has fallen back a bit with that stronger dollar, weaker gold, and so we are just bearish below the cloud here in the short term. The medium and long term charts still looking okay. Silver looking less good on the medium and long term charts. US Treasury yields 2.28%, so just climbing a little bit there on those job numbers. Apple still holding its own. Google still worryingly below the cloud. Amazon also short term below the cloud. Facebook holding on. So it's Google and Amazon that are the worry, and Microsoft not looking quite as good either. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.